With a few huge strides, Shan Long arrived in front of Rara Darai. Although giants had a huge stature, their movements weren't slow. This was also the reason why they could go against Mecha. This was also likely due to the Theta star's inclination towards certain elements. Shan Long pulled Rara Darai up and said, "Kill that human and then you will deserve to die." Shan Long pointed at Wang Zheng. Rara Darai spat a mouthful of blood onto Shan Long's face. When Wang Zheng became the Ada of Rara Darai, he had become the most important relative to Rara Darai. Rara Darai had learned a lot over this period of time. Shan Long was surprised to know that Rara Darai would still get angry. He shoved Rara Darai and threw a punch towards him. Left, almost instinctively, Rara Darai dodged to the right and Shan Long's punch failed to connect. Followed closely was another punch. Left, to this voice, Rara Darai had instinctively followed it. He did not know why he could hear it. However, this was the voice of Ada, and this must be the guidance from God. Right, spin. Shan Long was in hot pursuit but couldn't connect any of his attacks. He couldn't even scratch Rara Darai at all. The surrounding giants started jeering. Running away wasn't a good thing among the giants, but Rara Darai was doing it strictly. At this moment, he had forgotten his own existence. Shan Long's fierce attacks had demolished Rara Darai's innate abilities as a giant but had awoken the things Rara Darai had worked hard to achieve over this period of time. The master could only guide the way and one had to practice hard himself. Wang Zheng was only giving some guidance initially, and Rara Darai had entered the state by himself. There was no use in always trying to explain the theories. His sparring with Wang Zheng did not mean anything either. The only way out was to experience it himself. Boom! Shan Long wailed again as he failed to connect again. However, Rara Darai had found his opportunity. One uppercut and it had connected. This was the beginning of the battle. It was Rara Darai's first attack, but it was able to force Shan Long to stagger a few steps back. Using logic, with Rara Darai's strength, he would not be able to move Shan Long with his attacks. Shan Long rubbed his mouth and saw blood. This enraged him. On the other hand, Rara Darai became calmer. Facing a raging Shan Long, he moved aside and followed it with a kick. Shan Long flew out like a hungry dog pouncing on a pile of poop. 1. At this moment, no one was laughing anymore. Clearly, the giants did not understand what was happening. Their battles had an emphasis on momentum and a head-on clash. However, they did not know about many other things beyond these. Shan Long got up and was furious. He pounded on his chest crazily. He pointed at Rara Darai and pounded himself again. "Come, hit me over here. You are a coward, a lackey of humans." When he could no longer tolerate it, he would taunt him. Shan Long rushed ahead like a madman. Rara Darai's body started to arch gradually, and his muscle memory remembered everything Wang Zheng had taught him. He could have dodged it, but as a giant, they had their own traditions, and he couldn't just escape. Rara Darai shifted his shoulders slightly down and concentrated his vigor a little more. The huge body of Shan Long was rushing towards him. At this moment, with an explosive sound, Rara Darai struck like a lightning bolt, leaning landslide. Boom! Within the huge tribe, it was silent. What was this? Shan Long's huge body was sent flying over 30 meters away. Shan Long landed with his back on the floor and wasn't moving anymore. His chest has sunk in. Rara Darai stood up gradually, looked at both of his arms blankly, and then took a look at Wang Zheng. He did not know what had happened. What he had done just now was purely instinctive. He thought he would have died, but even knowing so, he wanted to die with glory. However, why had the opponent died instead? The giants of the Pool tribe erupted with thunderous cheers. They had never dreamt that Rara Darai would win. Based on physical condition, the people from the Pool tribe would not be able to defeat people from the Lingshan tribe. Rara Darai had won, and he had won in a direct confrontation. What was this kind of power to be able to crush a stronger opponent to death directly? Rara Darai walked slowly towards Wang Zheng. With one knee on the floor, he bowed down and said, "Thank you, Ada, for giving me strength and courage. I shall be victorious whenever I fight." Lan Ling's jaw had dropped and she couldn't say a word. She knew clearly about the difference in strength between the Lingshan tribe and Pool tribe. She had not expected that Rara Durai and Wang Zheng hanging around together would make a difference. What could have caused such a huge change? The giants of the Lingshan tribe were whispering among themselves. Clearly, they couldn't understand and couldn't believe, even though they had witnessed it with their own eyes. Shan Meng walked over towards Wang Zheng and Rara Durai with eyes filled with killing intent. Rara Durai stood up in front of Wang Zheng. From here onwards, he no longer feared. He believed that it was the will of the Titan God. He couldn't understand how he had generated such strength, but he understood that he couldn't have gotten such strength in such short period of time. However, the truth was that he had it. He believed that it was Ada's strength. The power had come from his faith. Rara, move aside, Wang Zheng suddenly said. Rara Durai had expended all his strength in the previous battle. His incomplete leaning landslide had expended all his reserves. If he were to face a stronger Shan Meng, he would only be beaten to death. Wang Zheng admired the battle of the warriors. However, he couldn't agree with the tradition of the victor of the battle of the warriors to kill the loser. Ada, I'm willing to fight for you, Wang Zheng smiled and said, I know. There'll always be a chance in the future. After completing his sentence, he looked to Shan Meng and said, you all believe that I'm not worthy of becoming the Ada of Rara Durai. Based on your traditions, what kind of person would be worthy? Shan Meng's eyes had stayed on Rara Durai. His interest had been aroused. It was only till this moment that he noticed Wang Zheng. Ada is equivalent to master. His strength must be greater than ours, and this would be the minimum. Despicable and weak humans like you would never be worthy. What if I win against you? Would that make me worthy? Replied Wang Zheng with a smile. The crowd went silent once more. A gust of wind blew past and some leaves started falling, following which, the whole crowd burst into laughter. However, no one from the Pool tribe was laughing. Mu Sen and Khalifa were not laughing either and found it hard to see through Wang Zheng. Although Wang Zheng was able to win against Rara Durai by sheer luck, Shan Meng would be completely different. He was undoubtedly the #1 warrior in the Kamla region. Not only did he possess the greatest strength, he was also gifted in battle. Shan Meng did not laugh and stared at Wang Zheng. Roar. A deafening roar swept across with a gust of wild wind. This was a roar from a giant, and it was also Shan Meng belittling Wang Zheng. A warrior wasn't someone that anyone could challenge. If the person were to be blown away with a breath, he would definitely not be worthy. Roar, just like the rumbling of thunder, an earth-shaking roar exploded outwards. The floor was trembling, and soon, many giants could no longer withstand it and started to cover their own ears. Shan Meng gritted his teeth, but it was he who had turned pale. This was because the one who let out such a roar was that puny little human. Lion roar. The primordial regression technique was circulating quickly. Borrowing the power of wind and thunder, this was the enlightenment of Wang Zheng. When the sound of the roar finally died down, the eyes of the giants were filled with respect and fear. Rara Durai's eyes were even more full of faith. He wasn't surprised by it at all. Shan Meng couldn't believe his eyes. How could such a loud noise be produced from such a small body? One wouldn't need to be loud if he was right, said Wang Zheng calmly. Wang Zheng waved his hand and Rara Durai exited the ring, leaving only Wang Zheng and Shan Meng. No one was objecting to it anymore. Wang Zheng had amazed the whole crowd with just one move. However, would having a loud voice be equivalent to having huge strength? Shan Meng loosened his arms. This meant that he was ready for the battle. Surprisingly, the #1 giant in the Kamla region had decided to accept the challenge of a human. Lan Ling could not stop it at all. It seemed that as long as this person was around, the situation would lose control. As a human and having interacted a lot with the giants, she naturally understood that giants looked down on humans. When she was still a kid, she fantasized about seeing a human face and challenge the giants bravely. However, as she grew, she learned that it wasn't a practical fantasy. Just when she was about to give up on the fantasy had become the truth. Shan Meng took huge strides towards Wang Zheng. A fearsome punch carrying a violent zeal was thrown towards Wang Zheng. For a normal person, just being hit by the shockwaves would severely injure or even kill the person. One wouldn't even have to consider facing it head-on. Wang Zheng did not hide. His body starting to move with the wind and he was still standing in front of Shan Meng. Shan Meng fiercely punched downwards. Boom! The floor around exploded and debris flew everywhere. Wang Zheng leapt into the air. Clearly, Shan Meng's battle IQ was much higher than that of an average giant. Attacking the floor directly would force Wang Zheng to leave. Just when Wang Zheng tried to make some movements in the sky, he realized that Shan Meng had stood up and his left fist was sweeping across towards him. Boom! Bullseye! Lan Ling's heart suddenly clenched. This would even crush a person into dust. Wang Zheng, who was hit head-on, somersaulted in the air, and by dissipating the force on a tree, he returned to the ground with a jump. Everyone was stunned. To be hit head-on by a giant and come out unscathed? Was this still a human? He would be finished even if he had steel bones. Wang Zheng was also a little surprised that this giant could also control the wind. It was no wonder he was so fast. Luckily, he had completely recovered, or the previous punch would have caused him to lie on a bed for a full month. Shan Meng revealed a disdainful look. He had understood the strength of his opponent. He was just depending on his agility and would want to see how this little bug could avoid all his attacks. The lethal point about Shan Meng's attack was that it was achieved by understanding the wind. That was the reason why he could be fierce and violent while maintaining a good tempo. This should be innate, but it allowed him to be unmatched against other giants. When he was about 20 meters away from Wang Zheng, Shan Meng jumped and stomped towards the ground like a small mountain. Boom! It was earth-shattering. Wang Zheng had no choice but to jump. If he were to be hit, he would be crushed to death. However, when he was in mid-air, two giant palms closed in suddenly. Boom! The giant palms of Shan Meng had smacked Wang Zheng right in the center. Lan Ling covered her mouth. The giants of the Pool tribe went silent, while the giants of Ling Shan tribe were cheering. This little bug had finally been clapped to death. The world would finally be peaceful. However, Shan Meng frowned and realized that his palms were being forced open. Wang Zheng was feeling a little ashamed. If this was seen by Bonehead, he would be tortured to death for not fighting smart. However, he had no other options. He couldn't have a direct confrontation of strength, but if he were to rely purely on techniques, he wouldn't be able to convince these giants. It wasn't nice to be too direct and honest. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. He would have to use the most giant-like method to achieve victory to obtain their respect. This had become a little bit of a problem for student Wang. After shaking off Shan Meng, Wang Zheng tried to extend the distance between them. However, Shan Meng had pounced forward. Facing a giant who could utilize the advantages of the physique of a giant was truly a headache. They were agile but a little slow. However, if it was used well, they could make up for it. It seemed that Shan Meng was able to do just that. Boom! Wang Zheng was sent flying again. Boom, 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 boom. Shan Meng was chasing and hitting Wang Zheng as though he was hitting a block. He was not giving Wang Zheng any chance to catch his breath. The supporting cheers from the surrounding giants also grew louder in support for Shan Meng. After being chased for some distance, Shan Meng jumped and was stomping down towards Wang Zheng again. Just because he didn't display his strength didn't mean that he was a weakling. Boom! Shan Meng fell flat on the ground and Wang Zheng took the opportunity to open up some distance. In that instant when Shan Meng landed, the two had actually exchanged quite a few blows. Shan Meng's punch failed to connect, while Wang Zheng managed to land his kick on Shan Meng's throat. Even a giant would have choked when being hit in this position. Shan Meng squatted on the floor and coughed a few times before standing up again with an even angrier expression. Wang Zheng's primordial regression technique was circulating continuously. Strength that was gathered in an instant would not be enough to defeat a giant. There was no way he could compete with their natural advantage. However, if Wang Zheng had time to gather power, it would be a different matter. Facing a menacing-looking Shan Meng, Wang Zheng extended his right arm. Shan Meng let out a roar and rushed towards Wang Zheng. The composure of the giant had disappeared and was replaced by rage and craziness. A punch with all his strength was thrown. Although the punch had not connected, the wind caused by the punch had opened several wounds on Wang Zheng's face. However, Wang Zheng wasn't moving. Boom! Shan Meng's punch had destroyed Wang Zheng's afterimage as Wang Zheng had performed a sidestep at the very last moment. With his right hand, He grabbed the huge arm of Shan Meng. A smirk appeared on Shan Meng's face as he readied himself to directly crush Wang Zheng with his elbow. Tisk! Wang Zheng's finger pierced directly into the elbow and Shan Meng let out a loud wail in pain. With a deep breath, the primordial regression technique circulated at the maximum and Yuan Qi started to flow in, up. Shan Meng's huge body was lifted by Wang Zheng single-handedly and smashed violently onto the ground. Boom, 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 boom. Shan Meng was thrown around more than 10 consecutive times. Suddenly, Wang Zheng mustered his strength and Shan Meng was thrown again. Although the distance wasn't very far, it was enough. 1,000 pounds came crashing down. Boom. Shan Meng's head was smashed onto the ground with a kick by Wang Zheng. The attacks were completed in one go. The whole set of attacks relied on anaerobic respiration as one could not slow down. Even Wang Zheng was surprised by it as he couldn't have done it in the past. One couldn't deny that the Yuan Qi around the tribe was really concentrated to a terrifying extent. Wang Zheng could clearly feel that the Rubik's Cube was accumulating battle energy. This was a surprising outcome for Wang Zheng. He had only wanted to stand up for Rara Darai. He would never allow his first giant friend and disciple to die in front of him. He did not feel that such a death was a form of glory. True glory wasn't this. The whole tribe had gone silent. The giants could not believe what they had seen. Even the wise ones were dumbfounded as everything that happened in front of them was beyond their comprehension. This was because in their interactions with humans over the past 100 years, a similar thing had never happened, and humans were nothing once they left their Mecca. Mu Sen walked slowly to the middle of the stage and said, "Let me introduce him to everyone again. Mr. Wang Zheng is a friend of the people of Tita, a warrior and a human from their mother planet, Earth. Are there any more doubts?" When the sentence was completed, the Pool tribe erupted with thunderous cheers. This battle truly showed it what it meant to be conquering. Shan Yu was also stunned. The mother planet of humans, in the eyes of the people of Tita, the mother planet was undoubtedly the most mysterious place. No wonder. Rara Darai had rushed in and lifted Wang Zheng up. Wang Zheng was surprised, and he couldn't take being thrown around. Luckily, Rara Darai did not toss him around this time but placed him on his shoulders to accept the cheers of the giants. This included cheers from the giants of the Lingshan tribe. The people of Tita respected warriors. Wang Zheng was able to gain respect by winning this battle. No one would ever look down on Rara Darai again. On the contrary, they would only be envious of him. Clearly, the strength of humans was beyond doubt. They were the rulers of the Milky Way Alliance. Although they weren't particularly happy about it, the people of Tita knew about it clearly. No one had expected that the strength of humans was not only in technology but also when it came to physical battles. They had clearly underestimated the humans. Looking at the cheering crowd, Lan Ling had started to doubt herself. Could it be that Earth was like this? Shan Meng was dragged out. He did not die, but he wished he was dead. Death could bring glory, while living would be a disgrace. No one was paying attention to him anymore as everyone was cheering for the warrior from Earth. The only solution was for him to end his own life. Just when Shan Meng was ready to execute himself, Wang Zheng suddenly appeared and stopped Shan Meng. Shan Meng was stunned. Shan Yu appeared and said, "Mr. Wang Zheng, please allow him to die in defense of his honor." Although this was what he said, one could easily tell that Shan Yu was struggling internally. Wang Zheng smiled and said, "Everyone, I understand the traditions of the warriors of Tita, and we have our traditions on Earth too. This battle has allowed me to fully experience the bravery of the people of Tita. He has won my respect. On Earth, failing isn't a disgrace. On the contrary, failure is the mother of success. It can make us even stronger. A real warrior should be able to face challenges and failure, because they will be victorious in the end." Shan Yu was stunned and felt touched, although he did not reveal it on his face. "Thank you for your magnanimity. However, we are on the Tita Star. The traditions over the past thousands of years cannot be changed." Wang Zheng could not tell that this huge figure would be so stubborn. Could I then have the authority to decide on how I deal with him? Definitely, you can decide his life or death. If you can kill him with your hands, the Lingshan tribe will feel the glory of this battle, said Shan Yu. The other giants also nodded their heads. Wang Zheng was cursing in his mind. What kind of tradition was this? Is that how it is? I'm still short of a disciple, and Rara Durai requires a training partner. If I were to accept him as my disciple, would it be contrary to your tradition? Asked Wang Zheng. The giants couldn't believe it. Failure had no value, and death was the only way of liberation. How could it be a blessing in disguise? And he was even willing to take the one who had failed as his disciple. Shan Yu was also stunned. This was the only way Shan Meng could continue living with dignity. However, no matter how shameless he was, he couldn't have said it himself. He had not expected Wang Zheng to propose the idea himself. Shan Meng, this is your greatest blessing. What are you still staring blankly over there for and not doing anything about it? Asked Mu Sen with a smile. Shan Meng immediately went on his knees and bowed down. He was still in a state of shock and felt unreal about the situation. What an exciting battle, and such fate. Elder Mu Sen and Chief Shan Yu, shouldn't we celebrate it? Said Lan Ling. She had really witnessed something today. Wang Zheng was simply too godly. The whole tribe was cheering. The giants of Tita were model examples of honesty and being direct. Wang Zheng's noble background, great strength and power, together with his magnanimity, had won their respect and friendship. Rara Durai was the most happy among them. Ada's glory was also his glory. Rara Durai had felt that Ada was someone with great capabilities from the very start. It was just that no one believed him. The truth was that during his training period, some giants had approached him. There were some who even belittled him, but he had always believed in his own views. Wang Zheng and Lan Ling had stayed in the Pool tribe for a month and had received the highest level of reception. However, it wasn't because of the Lan family, but Wang Zheng. The Tita giants felt that other than his small stature, Wang Zheng was just like the people of Tita. He had great strength, was direct and outspoken, brave and extremely interested in adventures. Wang Zheng's injuries had fully recovered and he had benefited from the abundance of Yuan Qi. Although he wasn't able to achieve a breakthrough, he had managed to consolidate his cultivation technique and made a group of Tita friends. As for Rara Durai and Shan Meng, they were always around Wang Zheng no matter where he went. Shan Meng's strength was clearly a level above Rara Durai's. However, Rara Durai's ability to understand the techniques was a level above Shan Meng. This made the two of them similar in strength. The three of them had visited all of the more interesting and dangerous places surrounding the Pool tribe and hunted various gigantic beasts. Disregarding how exciting it was, the world of the people of Tita was simple and filled with happiness. This was what many people had been pursuing. However, their source of happiness originated from their simple lifestyle, and this was something that humans could never achieve. Wang Zheng had finally decided to return with Lan Ling. Since he was not dead, he was still a student of Ares College and a member of the reserve forces. He had to face what he had to face. At the time of parting, Rara Durai and Shan Meng were both reluctant to be separated from Wang Zheng. If there weren't any rules, they would have wanted to follow Wang Zheng into the human cities. However, at this critical juncture, Elder Mu Sen had decisively stopped them. Mu Sen was also feeling a little emotional. He felt that Wang Zheng was a great guy, and he was able to develop a sophisticated relationship with the giants. The two of you must train well. I will be examining your progress the next time we meet. There might be an opportunity where we could conquer the abyss together and fulfill the legend of the Titan. Wang Zheng shouted as he waved his hands. The two giants were also waving. The giants from afar also let out huge roars to send their guest away. The abyss? Asked Lan Ling curiously. I hear about it from the people of Tita occasionally. Is there really such a place? It seems to be a legend. It's the place where the devils live. The warriors of Tita must battle and win against the devils and obtain the mystical weapon before they can receive the title of Titan, the king of the Titan star, replied Wang Zheng. Lan Ling couldn't help but laugh. I know about this. It is said that once you obtain the mystical weapon, you will be similar to a god and will be able to control lightning. This is something we can't achieve with the current human technologies. It is likely similar to shamanistic powers. Lan Ling, I really want to thank you for this period of time. If you have the opportunity to visit Canyon City, you have to look for me. Wang Zheng sincerely thanked this kind-hearted and smart girl. Even if you didn't say it, I would have gone too. At that time, please do not act as though you do not know this indigenous person, replied Lan Ling with a smile. The Lan family had people to provide guidance specifically for Wang Zheng. On the other hand, Lan Ling was able to achieve much more in this trip than in previous trips. Initially, the Lan family required additional information if they could extend the agreement with the people of Tita. This was extremely important to the Lan family. However, it was clear that the people of Tita had never been so friendly, and they were able to achieve further agreements with Lan Ling. The base for the Special Forces team of the Milky Way Alliance was located on the Storm Plains in Canyon City. The Storm Plains covered an area of 900,000 square kilometers and it housed the most primitive forest of the Tita Star. The enormous wetwood forest had over 10,000 years of history. If one were to go slightly deep into the forest and chop any tree, its age would be at least 1,000, as could be deduced from counting the growth rings. The protection of the primitive forest was the strongest among the Milky Way Alliance. This was likely the result of the people of Tita worshipping nature and emphasized on being one with nature. Outside the forest were huge, fertile grasslands. The Pingyuan River that started from the wet wood forest flowed throughout the grasslands, nourishing the countless lives on the grasslands. Between these vast spaces was a road opened by humans. It cut through the primitive forest that no one dared to trespass, went across the plains, and was connected to the most southern part of the Storm Plains through the gravel canyon. Rumbling, Wang Zheng was on a long-distance train that was traveling on this deserted road. One could see that the external area of the road was protected by huge electricity net. There would also be a military CCTV every few hundred meters. This piece of electricity net was what separated the road and wilderness, and was also the distance separating civilization and the wilderness. It was the result of countless people's hard work and funding and was a symbol of hard work of the early humans on the Tita Star. Maglev trains with tracks were already eliminated in some of the more developed places within the Milky Way Alliance. However, the trackless Maglev trains were not suitable for the Tita Star. The Maglev train was moving at a high speed, but the trip from Lankou City to Canyon City located at Gravel Canyon was a 6-hour ride. They should have upgraded the speed long ago. I heard that the Lan family has achieved new developments in this aspect. Our planet is a little unique and different from other places in the Milky Way Alliance. We still have to develop our own technology lines. Yeah, the model of this train is too old. If we were anywhere else, 1 hour would be enough. The people who were traveling with Wang Zheng were chatting happily, while Wang Zheng was just listening. Canyon City was one of the 5 largest human cities on the Tita Star. The population was approximately 5 million. According to official statistics, the number of humans on Tita Star was several million. However, it had actually exceeded 10 million and was still increasing consistently. With more development, there would be a further influx of immigrants. This was truly a beautiful place, and it would have no problem supporting 1 billion humans. With the development of flight routes and excavation of resources, the prosperity of the Tita Star was just a matter of time. However, achieving a balance between prosperity and preservation of the original ecology and maintaining a cordial relationship with the people of Tita was a difficult question for the Lan family and the Milky Way Alliance. The reason why everything seemed fine currently was because there weren't many interactions between humans and the people of Tita in their everyday lives. The humans were living in their cities, while the people of Tita were living in the vast nature. The 5 human cities on the Tita Star were just like 5 sesame seeds on the Tita Star. The train continued to move forward but started to decelerate as it passed by a Milky Way Alliance outpost. Wang Zheng could see 2 mecha within the outpost. The surrounding human buildings had been increasing. There were buildings for military usage and factories for civilian usage. When the Maglev train entered the underground pass, the train started to accelerate. After a few minutes, the train finally arrived at the train station within Canyon City. Wang Zheng followed the rest and lined up. He made his way out of the station and found that it was brimming with life. The shops along the pathways were booming. People were coming and going and business was very good. On the roads, the trucks never stopped but were moving in good order and leaving a broad pathway. The pathway was fully drawn with yellow warning lines. The pathway was specifically for mecha patrol. No vehicles, no matter what their reason might be, could use this path. Rumbling. 3 mecha and 2 infantry carrier vehicles sped past this pathway. The badges of the Milky Way Alliance on the mecha were extremely eye-catching. Wang Zheng walked to the side of the road and A for rental car slowly approached and asked if he would need to use a car. Wang Zheng sat on it and gave the address of his destination. The driver was slightly stunned and said, "Ah, brat, are you a soldier?" Wang Zheng nodded. The driver's face was full of smiles and he said, "That's great, I will not charge for this trip. Just giving a testimony that I am supportive of the military would be enough for me." Wang Zheng smiled. "Would it be okay if I haven't officially reported for duty?" "Of course. I could gain another point this year. Hee. I intend to start my family in this place. Once I have earned enough points, I will apply for citizenship, property, and benefits in one go." "Is it such a great place over here?" Wang Zheng was surprised. He had thought that no one would willingly want to be here. At least no one would want to start a family here, but the purpose of earning money would still be understandable. Whether or not it will be great depends on individuals. Don't look at me as just a driver. My income here is at least 10x better than it was back home. I used to be from Norton. I can accumulate points in exchange for subsidies. The more points I accumulate, the better the subsidies. Once the driver had started talking, he couldn't really hold back. There weren't many people here in the past. Therefore, the Milky Way Alliance had introduced several initiatives to encourage immigration. However, with the discovery of the supergravity energy ore, plus the various major infrastructure projects over these years, such as the building of 12 different flight routes to Tita, the Tita star had become one of the top 10 planets for new immigrants. This had aroused the interests of many families who were interested in making money. A tree couldn't survive when it left its birthplace, but a human could. For a normal family, migrating could be an attractive option to change their current ordinary living conditions. It seemed that the Milky Way Alliance wasn't just here for the mineral ores, but truly wanted to turn the Tita star into a prosperous planet. The immigration plan that the driver kept mentioning was a big move by them to attract new immigrants. When the car stopped, Wang Zheng left a testimonial that the driver was supportive of the military for the enthusiastic driver. "My name is Wang Zheng. If there is any problem with this testimonial, you are welcome to look for me anytime over here." The most whole way to conquer a planet unwillingly by humans was to flood this place with a countless number of people. Military area ahead. Do not approach. Just when Wang Zheng arrived at the doorstep, he was stopped by two armed soldiers. "Pa." Wang Zheng stood upright immediately and did a perfect salute with a strict face. "I'm Wang Zheng from the Solar System Federation. I have received an order to report to the base." "Wang Zheng from the Solar System Federation? Ah, you are still alive. Give me a moment." The two guards were stunned for a moment. One of them continued staring at Wang Zheng, while the other had quickly walked to the booth and established communication with his superiors. Soon, that guard was holding a portrait of Wang Zheng and walked towards Wang Zheng. After verifying with the photo on the paper, the guard nodded and said, "It really is you. Let's go. I will bring you to your reporting area." At the reporting area, a fat military officer who was as fat as a wine barrel received him. This was also the embassy of the Milky Way Alliance on the Tita star. "Wang Zheng from the Solar System Federation?" "Yes, sir." The middle-aged second lieutenant looked at Wang Zheng lazily. On the records, the transport ship that you were taking was raided by unidentified robbers. How did you survive?" Reporting to the officer, "I remained in my cabin and was not clear of what was happening. When the airship crashed, I found an escape pod. Although it was hit, it landed on a tree. I was lucky to be stuck between the trees. I suffered grave injuries but was rescued. I have come to report for duty since I have recovered," replied Wang Zheng. He did not mention the Lan family. It's great that you are fine. Verification of your identity is complete and you can return to your team." The second lieutenant waved his hand impatiently. He couldn't care less about the life of a small fry soldier. If he was sent to this forsaken planet, he had likely offended someone or was a useless person. Wang Zheng stamped his head and saluted. "I understand, sir." "That's great. You have been assigned to the 3rd section of the Fox platoon. This is your military badge. Do not lose it. These are the rules and regulations of the base. I will give you 1 day to memorize them." As he explained, he brought Wang Zheng to the military logistics area. A military quartermaster appeared and said with a smile, Old man Wen, I heard that the unlucky guy from the solar system didn't die. Has he reported for duty? Stop your nonsense. This is that guy. I will leave him with you. Second Lieutenant Wen turned around and left after giving some instructions. Unlucky guy, my name is Wu Fufeng. I will spare you the nonsense. To keep things simple, I am the boss of the military logistics area. Remember me and do not mistake someone else as me. Which platoon are you assigned to? Wu Fufeng seemed old to Wang Zheng. The old man was examining Wang Zheng and was curious. Just how did this unlucky guy survive? Sir, you can call me Wang Zheng. I was assigned to Section 3 of the Fox platoon. The third section? Hee, you are quite lucky. The third section is quite famous here. Go and collect 3 sets of military uniforms, 1 set of living amenities, and pass me your military badge. The badge that second lieutenant gave Wang Zheng was without any details. Soon, Wu Fufeng had entered data about Wang Zheng on it. Solar System Federation, the third section and etc. Wang Zheng followed the procedures and collected all the items. Under the guidance of a private, he arrived at the bunk area for the soldiers. When he just entered the room of the third section, he saw a muscular man who was doing a handstand push-up. He looked a little fierce. He wasn't using his palm but 10 fingers for the push-ups. Several of the section mates were gathered together and watching a video. When they saw Wang Zheng walking in, they only raised their heads and took a look before refocusing their attention on the video. Wang Zheng walked around the muscular guy and found an empty bed. He threw all the military items on the bed. Just when he was about to sit down, the muscular guy who was doing handstand push-ups stood up. Wait. Wang Zheng smiled and said, I'm the new recruit, Wang Zheng. Please take care of me in the future. The muscular guy shrugged his shoulders and said, it would be the same if I took care of you or not. For your own good, choose another bed. Wang Zheng was taken aback. Just when he was about to change to a new bed, he could hear a soft and flirtatious voice saying, what is the matter? Are you afraid that I would eat him up? Rookie, I dare you to change your position. There was a curtain at the most inner corner of the bunk. At this moment, it was lifted aside and a beautiful lady with a hot body walked out from it. Wang Zheng looked across. He did not have the time to take a good look at the appearance of the woman as his eyes had uncontrollably fixed on the pair of gigantic boobs. Oh my god, was that the legendary 36D? It could even be F. Is it nice to look at? The beautiful lady winked and swayed flirtatiously. It seemed that she wanted to let everyone know that she was a ripe peach and could make a man feel great or like dying. It's nice. Wang Zheng nodded his head subconsciously. However, he soon realized that it wasn't right. Cough, cough, leader, Wang Zheng reporting here. The response of the rookie isn't bad, but he seems to be too young. Sister likes it. Where are you from? You do not have to be restrained in the bunk. I am Shiyue, but I'm also known as the Red Fox, said Shin Shiyue flirtatiously. She examined Wang Zheng with a gaze that seemed to pass right through him. She was impressed with the observation skills of this guy as he was able to identify her as the leader of the section. The beautiful lady sat on the bed that Wang Zheng had chosen. Wang Zheng took a look at the muscular guy. The other guy gave him a, you're on your own look, and smiled. Wang Zheng gave a self-introduction, saying, I'm Wang Zheng and I'm from the Solar System Federation. Solar System Federation? Why would you be sent to us? The other members stared at Wang Zheng with unhappiness. The Solar System Federation has been weak for a long time. It must be the plot of the Silver Fox to send this useless thing over. Wang Zheng didn't know if he should cry or laugh. This was beyond his control. The solar system had become synonymous with weaklings. Moreover, the solar system rarely participated in international matters. What do you know and what are you good in? The muscular guy also frowned. The Solar System Federation did not have a good name in the Milky Way Alliance. Only the Solar System Federation would have incidents where they accidentally shot down a transport ship. I know a little of everything. I can also do repairs and operate mecha. Wang Zheng was still very confident with mecha. Wang Zheng's reply immediately led to laughter. It wasn't ridicule, but due to the fact that they felt that this student soldier was very childish. This little guy has quite an imposing tone. I am Jing Long, the deputy leader of the third section. The muscular guy flexed his chest full of elastic muscles. It seems that he has gone gaga over our section leader. Where have you served before this? I have not served before. I am from the Ares College on Earth, where I was in the second year of my internship to be a soldier. Second year, student soldier. Clearly, no one had seen his information and were stunned when they heard this. This was because although they had soldiers from different countries for various reasons, they all had unique points. This was their first encounter with a student soldier. Being a student is great. How youthful and full of dreams. Look at you guys, just ambling through life. Other than muscles, your brains are all hollow. Let me tell you that no one is to bully him, teased the Red Fox. Red Fox, we are still within our teenage years. Why would we bully him? Red Fox took another glance at Wang Zheng. The truth was that she felt a little helpless. The competition between the different sections had been intense recently, and everyone was trying to grab the highly skilled people. She was too slow and had been thrown such people. All right, muscular man. Bring this student soldier around to familiarize himself with the environment. Re-examine him and see if you can pass him any mission that you have with you. The Red Fox looked at her Skylink from time to time. Clearly, there was something important as she passed command to the muscular guy. She left the bunk in a hurry after waving to the rest. She was only here to take a look but was more disappointed than expected. Jing Long coughed a few times and said, "Let's go, student soldier. Brother shall bring you around to familiarize you with the base." Wang Zheng smiled and nodded. He felt that the people here were actually rather nice. Although they were belittling him a little, at least they weren't thinking of bullying him. He had heard in the past that pranking and punishing rookies was a tradition in the army and that it was the only way to be included in the team. Student Wang had already made preparations to be bullied, but he did not expect his captain to have the lethal 36D as weapon. After bringing Wang Zheng around the camp, Jing Long explained, "It is simple. The buildings of the base can be separated into 3 colors: red, yellow and green. The red zones are restricted zones and no one is to enter without the orders of the captain. It would be best for you to stay away from them. The yellow zones are weapon armories. One could enter based on the permission on the military badge. The mecha garage of our team is part of it too. As for the green zones, they are entertainment areas. The conditions here are not too shabby. We have a swimming pool, a gym, and other basic stuff. Oh yeah, the Titan Star is currently under communication restrictions. If you want to communicate with the outside, you can use the communication platform over here. Also, the most important point is that you are part of the Red Fox team. The Red Fox is our only boss. If there is anyone who would vilify the Red Fox team, you have to screw him even if he is just a broom. We only have one requirement for our team, and that is not to be a coward. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir. Do not address me as sir. You can call me Jing Long or Hercules," said Jing Long with a smile. He did not have any intention to bully a student soldier. The style of the Red Fox was that they were more interested in troublemakers. The entire base occupied a huge area. In addition to the main Fox squadron, there were also multiple different types of soldiers, such as communication soldiers and maintenance soldiers, among which, the majority were infantry troops that specialized in mobile armor. Different types of squadrons would have different arsenals based on their number. After roughly introducing Wang Zheng to the different places of the base, Jing Long brought Wang Zheng to a yellow garage. At the front of the garage was a picture of a flaming red fox with a burning fire as its tail. At the bottom right corner was a 3, symbolizing the 3rd section. Remember clearly that we are the 3rd section, also known as the Red Fox section. This is because the nickname of our captain is Red Fox. Doo-doo. A sensor light suddenly shot from the device at the side. A warning sound was issued. Jing Long raised his military badge and scanned it. The light faded away and the huge door started folding up gradually. Ka-cha ka-cha. The lights in the garage turned on one after another. Instantly, the garage had become well lit. Over 10 mecha were arranged neatly at one corner of the garage. At the other side were 3 mecha cranes arranged in a pyramid shape. Those cranes were specifically used to equip the mecha, maintaining the mecha, and repairing the mecha. This is the mecha garage for the Red Fox section. For mecha warriors like us, the mecha are as important as our sons. Just as Jing Long completed his sentence, his face turned black. Under the scorching white light, it was clear that the 10 mecha weren't very clean. Some of the depressed surfaces even had mud stains. Clearly, someone had only done a simple cleaning of the mecha after their training. No one had completed a full cleaning seriously. Lucas, the lazy bum, was known to always slack off. If it was discovered during checks, they would be scolded by the captain. Cough. Your mission for the next few days is to clean the mecha thoroughly and complete regular maintenance. I believe you should have learned about the basic maintenance of mecha? Wang Zheng nodded and said, I have some internship experience in a mecha repair shop. Haha, that's great, brother. I didn't expect you to be an all-rounded talent. You will have a bright future. I will leave this place to you. This is your first mission from the Great Red Fox section. You must complete it seriously. Yes, Vice Captain, you do not have to be so serious. It's more important to complete your task seriously. Jing Long smiled and patted Wang Zheng. To have a silly free laborer, Jing Long was ready to offer a few comforting words. However, a voice from outside rushed him. Are you done, Jing Long? Hurry up or the car will leave. Jing Long took a look at Wang Zheng and said, all right, you can familiarize yourself first. I still had some matters to handle. You brats, wait for me. Jing Long rushed out of the garage while cursing. Wang Zheng took a deep breath and turned around. Looking at these mecha, they were truly different. This was because huge modifications were done for the Titan Star. The most unique point was that there were no energy shields or laser series weapons. The armor was especially thick, with menacing-looking spikes. Clearly, it was designed in response to fight the people of Tita. However, those mud stains were really eyesores. A mech should be bright and shiny. After taking a deep breath, Wang Zheng started working. He climbed onto one of the mecha and entered the cockpit. All the mecha in this place had a security mechanism when one tried to start it. However, once Wang Zheng scanned his military badge, the safety mechanism immediately released. Other than not being able to equip weapons, all the other systems could be used freely. The control of mecha in the military was still very tight. Separating the mech from the weapons was just basic security. Vroom, the engine started to howl. At the same time, the mech was running a system check and a signal appeared on the screen of the mech. Wang Zheng looked at the screen seriously. In the field of mecha repairs and maintenance, Wang Zheng could be considered a master. The message from the system check was a series of mech language. This language was different from the usual programming languages and was specially developed. If you weren't a mecha maintenance worker, you would not be able to understand. Wang Zheng read through it thoroughly. Initially, he was worried that he would forget about it as he had not done his revision for a long time. However, something when learned would seem to be etched in one's bones. Reading the starting 2 lines of symbols was a little difficult. However, towards the end, it became something more familiar. The current conditions of the mecha were listed out in a clear manner. As the last 2 lines of symbols were scanned, a green light was shown, indicating that the mech was in good condition. However, Wang Zheng started to frown. The condition was okay. However, there were some issues in the details as indicated in the symbols. These issues would not affect the overall condition of the mech but would restrict the full capabilities of the mech. This wasn't a real issue. When a mech was used for some time, having wear and tear would be inevitable. It would require a manual adjustment, and this was something a machine couldn't do. Wang Zheng's love for mecha was a little stubborn. No matter how he got here, he seemed to have become a real mech warrior. He had his own section and even received his first mission. He would definitely want to complete it seriously. Wang Zheng started the mech and moved towards the crane. He stopped at the front of the crane and left the mech. Following which, he started the controls for the crane. 2 large mechanical arms immediately grabbed the mech. The mech was lifted and fixed in a position on the crane. A screen appeared from the crane and amplified the conditions of various parts of the mech based on Wang Zheng's needs. After maintenance, Wang Zheng would have to clean the mech. This was a huge project even with the help of mechanical cranes. A mech would require a lot of time to clean. This was especially so for a serious person like Wang Zheng. He wouldn't dare to say that he had cleaned it unless he had made it sparkling clean. Under the surface of the armor, there was dust accumulated. This wasn't something that a cloth could clean, It required using water to flush it multiple times. After 2 hours, Wang Zheng had finally completed the cleaning of the first mech. After the huge project, Wang Zheng felt a great sense of achievement when he looked at the huge and mighty mech under the scorching white light. However, this was only the beginning, and he would need to continue with maintenance. The main tasks after examining the parts were to apply oil and a layer of protective film to the respective parts, after which, he would have to recalibrate the mech using the mechanical cranes to attempt to bring the performance of the mech to the point similar to when they had just left the factories. It took a total of 4 hours to complete all of the tasks required for one mech. It was apparent that there were many issues with the maintenance of mecha in this place, and it couldn't be compared to the level at the IG. In fact, this was the truth. Much less the condition of a super mech like the Phantom King. Looking at the other 14 mecha that he had not started with, Wang Zheng let out a long sigh. It seemed that he had to think of a way to increase his efficiency. Just when he was getting ready to clean the second mech, his stomach started growling. Luckily, there were instant noodles and a water dispenser in the lounge of the garage. After having a simple meal, Wang Zheng started focusing on his mission again. The second mech was slightly different. It was a scout-type mech that had the most advanced scout mech technologies of the Milky Way Alliance. However, this mech was also the dirtiest. It seemed that no one had used it for a long time. Even the cockpit had dust accumulated within it. While Wang Zheng was busy, the rest of the people had driven out of the camp excitedly as it was their holiday time. Jing Long, where is that kid? Haha, we got a free laborer. He is a simple and serious student. Those mecha will occupy him for quite some time, and this saves us the trouble. I really had no idea what the military is thinking to send a kid over. He even ended up in our section. Won't this make things hard for our boss? It seems that the difficulty of the battle for platoon leader has increased again. Let's not think about all this. We must get really happy today. Everything's on me. The crowd cheered and fully enjoyed the nightlife on the Titan Star. At the other side, Wang Zheng was busy working. After a full 5 hours, he had finally finished cleaning this mech. It was already 2 a.m. However, Wang Zheng had no intention of going back for a rest. Although he was tired, he felt a strong sense of achievement. It was especially so when he recalibrated the mech. It seemed that he was back to the times when he was working part-time in OMG. The only difference was that his friendly and competitive colleagues weren't around this time. Truthfully, this was an opportunity for him to get familiar with the mecha. The 15 mecha consisted of various models. Each model also had their own equipment specifically made for battles on the Titan Star. At this place, equipment related to pure energy was dismantled. What replaced it was some of the older equipment. These types of mecha would be easily defeated at other places. However, these slightly older equipment were the most effective equipment on the Titan Star. At this moment, there weren't any new technologies that could replace these more primitive weapons. When he became tired and sleepy, Wang Zheng would cultivate his primordial regression technique. By keeping it circulating constantly within the body, he could maintain a clear head and vitality within the body. When he was cleaning and doing the maintenance for the third mech, Wang Zheng's efficiency had clearly increased. Practice made perfect, and Wang Zheng only took 3 hours to complete all the tasks. The sky had started to light up. However, the following tasks were still arduous. Jing Long had set the time for this mission as these few days. Looking at his progress, he couldn't afford to slack off. Continue, continue. Wang Zheng was humming a tune as he placed the mech back to its original position from the crane. Following which, he moved the next mech out. This was a sniper-type mech with a double engine. This allowed it to have a certain degree of close combat ability. Wang Zheng was moving around the garage quickly with the sniper-type mech. After completing some tactical maneuvers, he placed the mech onto the crane again. While Wang Zheng was working hard cleaning the mecha on the Titan Star, the Solar System Federation's 1st and 7th fleets were having a joint military exercise against one another in the asteroid belt of the solar system. The two parties had just had a huge battle. The 1st fleet had the advantage, while the 7th fleet had been forced to retreat to the fortress at the edge of the asteroid belt. The 7th fleet had placed the emphasis of their defense at the front of the fortress. More than 10 gunboats were deployed at the side, facing the back of the asteroid belt. Clearly, the commander of the 7th Fleet did not believe that anyone could have emerged from within the asteroid belt. This was common knowledge. Flying within the asteroid belt posed extremely high risks. It might be possible for one or two surprise spaceships to emerge, but it would be impossible for a fleet of spaceships, especially for a huge spaceship, to maneuver within the asteroid belt. Any commander with brains would not take such risks unless they were desperate. Even if they could barely make it out, asteroids would have badly damaged them as they approached the space fortress, resulting in them being unable to maintain much of its battle power. Therefore, approximately 10 gunboats in coordination with the firepower of the fortress would be enough to defend against attacks from that direction. However, things wouldn't always head towards that direction as one thought. Reality was also most likely to strike you the hardest when in ways that you couldn't have expected. After clearing the battlefield for a while, the First Fleet, under the leadership of their mothership, Uranus, moved quickly towards the space fortress. After forming a three-dimensional blockade, they had started to lock down the space fortress. However, it didn't seem like they had any intention of making an attack. Indeed, in the face of the space fortress' strong firepower, together with the fact that the main battleships of the 7th Fleet had maintained their battle force, trying to attack head-on wouldn't be a good option. Even if they could win, it would come with huge sacrifices. This type of victory would not have much meaning in space battles. However, at this moment, the vice flagship of the First Fleet, Hydra, led 11 spaceships quietly to a detour and entered the dangerous asteroid belt. The 12 spaceships lined up in a straight line with the vice flagship Hydra leading the way at 1/3 of their usual speed. They were meticulously dodging one irregular asteroid after another. The intent of the battle strategy was clear, and it would be to make a detour to the back of the 7th Fleet and the space fortress for a flanked attack. This was to attack from the place where the enemy had least expected to destroy them and to take the psychological advantage. In the command station of the vice flagship Hydra, Lear was sitting in the position of the main helmsman and wearing his military uniform. At this moment, the calculation screen in front of Lear was vigorously calculating the flight route within the asteroid belt. Under the steering of Lear, the Hydra's flight route was constantly making minute and detailed changes to avoid one asteroid after another. Sounds of surprise came from time to time. What a strong ability to calculate and control. Could this even be done? The energy shield of the Hydra was barely of any use. Every little asteroid was avoided in an almost perfect way. When there were so many asteroids around, autopiloting to avoid was useless and it would require manual control. No matter how mentally strong a person was, how could anyone concentrate at such a high level for such a long time? However, Lear had done it. Such perfect calculation of the flight route did not only allow Hydra to avoid numerous asteroids, he had also taken into account the flight path of the 11 following spaceships. Although it wasn't so perfect, it was able to avoid all of the larger asteroids. As for asteroids the size of a fist, there would be no damage to the decks of the spaceships even when they crashed into them, as the spaceships were only moving at 1/3 of the usual moving speed. There was also the protection provided by the thick layers of energy shields. In the control room, the exclamations for Lear had almost never stopped. That was too unbelievable. That was just a side of him. Lear is truly an all-rounded talent. In the battle with the 7th Fleet, where we defeated them, the strategy was devised by him alone. The commander is full of praises for Lear. Rumor has it that he told the rest privately that after Lear's internship, anyone who would tries to snatch Lear from him will be his enemy. Lear is the hero who managed to clinch a victory against the eventual champion, the Arbiter Republic, in the IG finals. He is simply an all-rounded talent. Is that for real? Would Commander Wen say such domineering words? Everyone was jealous and in awe. Commander Wen Na of the First Fleet was just like what his name suggested. He had an easygoing personality and loved to make friends. He had almost never said such ruthless words and he had just done that for the sake of Lear. The situation is clear now. Try to recall when has the First Fleet ever defeated the 7th Fleet in a military exercise. Wherever Lear goes, the future of that place will be bright. Moreover, he is the successor of the Kronos family. Let's stop talking. We are almost out of the asteroid belt. Let's get ready for battle. Yes. Everyone, to their battle stations. We are on highest alert. Ammunition preparation conditions. Great. Defensive preparation conditions, great. Mech assault team preparation conditions, great. At the front of the fleet, they could already see the weak spot in the defensive scheme of the 7th Fleet. Boom! The 12 battleships adjusted their battle formation quickly. Fire the main cannon. At the same time, the main force of the 1st Fleet, located at the front, initiated their attacks from all directions. The defensive line pressed fiercely inwards, causing great pressure on the 7th Fleet, which was in the fortress. It seemed that their enemies were all around them and they were isolated. In the simulation system of the military exercise, the scale of the battle was changing rapidly. The 7th Fleet were sustaining losses incessantly. One after another, main battleships were ruled to be destroyed and had to exit the exercise. Moreover, the battle fortress had been breached from the back by the Hydra. It was a landslide defeat. This was a victory where they destroyed all of their targets. These targets weren't pirates but the entire main force of the Federation's 7th Fleet. Lear's name had been spreading amongst the senior military officers who were concerned about this exercise. From the frontal battle to the surprise attack at the asteroid belt, a normal soldier would not know about it, but the senior military officers were clear about it. The decision by the defeated 7th Fleet to not retreat to the deeper areas of the universe but choosing to stay and defend the fortress was all because of Lear's plot to lure them into a position where they could be crushed. Everything was within Lear's calculations. It seemed that even his opponents were pieces of chess within his hands and were listening to his every command. To be so experienced and fierce while still being a military school student, one could really say that the younger generation would surpass his predecessors. Lear was on the sofa in the lounge on board the Hydra. He closed his eyes and a faint smile was revealed. Since the IG finals, everything that happened was going according to his plan perfectly. To enter the 1st Fleet and become a strategist intern was Lear's choice. He had the room to perform because of Wen Na's personality, and with his abilities, he excelled in it. Lear had used his method to slowly influence the Federation's 1st Fleet. He wasn't too satisfied yet as this was only the beginning. To be able to truly gain the recognition of the military, there were more things to be done, and he had to create more miracles. He would need to be a leader and not just another soldier. Through this military exercise, Lear was able to make the 1st Fleet recognize him. 2 beautiful female soldiers were in charge of the management of the lounge. One of them poured a cup of coffee for Lear. When she heard a gentle, "Thank you," from Lear, her heart started to race and she rushed back to the bar counter. She pulled the arm of the other female soldier and said in a soft voice, "Lear is really handsome. There isn't anyone with the Kronos family's bloodline that is not good looking. Moreover, he is the official successor of it. He is so handsome and has a bright future. What a perfect guy." Yes. I heard that only Lear was able to achieve a victory against the Arbiter Republic in the IG finals. All the rest had lost. They were really useless. Even the King of the Moon and the Succubus of Mars had held him back. You are right. Lear is really good looking. I really want to know if he has a girlfriend. Even if he does, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't be at a disadvantage if I'm with him. What are you going to do? Are you going to seduce him in your uniform? Couldn't I? It isn't that it's not possible, however, he is still a student. And secret affair with someone older than you is the popular thing currently. It's more exciting this way. You can dream about it all you want. Lear will not even look at you. If he were to fall in love, it would be with me. The 2 beautiful ladies knew clearly that with their looks and status, they were already very lucky to be able to see Lear here, pouring him a cup of coffee and hearing him say, "Thank you," to them. They could only have some fantasies about the Cinderella plot in their private conversation. In reality, this would definitely not happen. Just when the 2 female soldiers were happily fantasizing, the ground trembled and a clearly fatter Luo Fei rushed in from the outside. He was pushing a food cart. On the military uniform of the fatty was a sergeant's tab. Under the scrutiny of the 2 female soldiers, the fatty continued pushing the food cart towards Lear. "Boss, it's time to eat." Bootlicker. The 2 ladies stared at the fatty while nagging. The truth was that they wished they were able to be in the fatty's position. However, the fatty was looking at them flirtatiously and appeared very proud of it. Lear smiled faintly. He had made special arrangements to ensure that Luo Fei would be assigned to the Hydra as a sergeant in the Department of Strategy instead of the Mech Warriors. This was an extremely senior rank. In the military, one couldn't just be transferred when he had made a contribution. Seniority was equally important. Even if one were to be a strategist for just a few days, his promotion speed would be over 10x and even 100x faster than a mech warrior. One couldn't deny that mech heroes would be more able to attract the crowd. However, if one wanted to obtain authority, he would have to be within the fleet to be able to go further and higher. Luo Fei wasn't concerned about these things. All he wanted was to follow Lear. To him, stupid people had a stupid way to make decisions. "How long have I rested?" asked Lear as he received the meal plate. He was a little tired after making such a maneuver. However, what separated him from the rest was that he was more capable of adapting to the structure of the Solar System Federation. No matter if it was networking with military officers or internal conflicts, they were filled with opportunities. Politics was a form of art, and being hot-headed would not be enough. Achilles and Lai Xin were inferior to him in this aspect. It was just that the appearance of Wang Zheng had foiled his plans to garner the support of the rest of the people. "Less than 2 hours, boss. Actually, you did not need to be in such a hurry." Luo Fei scratched his head. Lear said he was resting, but he knew that Lear shutting his eyes in the lounge wasn't for resting but for plotting. A smart person would plan 3 steps ahead for every step he made. As for Lear, every time he took a step, he would think 10 steps in advance. Lear looked at Luo Fei and said, "If you want me to relax, you have to stop skiving." Following the advantage he had during the IG, it was true that he had an advantage. However, Achilles and Lai Xin had not been slacking. One of them was on the moon while the other on Mars. Although they hadn't made any large movements, one could only achieve success with enough preparation. They must have been busy with their preparations. Both of them had the same level of hidden strength as him. However, this might be great for him too. It wouldn't feel great if there were no opponents or any form of struggle. Ring ring. At this moment, Lear's Skylink was blinking. It was a red message, indicating a special security level. Clearly, this was a secret security level message from the Kronos family. Lear took a look at the message from the Skylink. He raised his head and looked towards the 2 female soldiers at the bar counter. The 2 female soldiers immediately knew that Lear had some private things to discuss. After winking flirtatiously at Lear and fiercely staring at Fatty Luo, they left the room by making up an excuse that they were going to rest. Luo Fei blinked his eyes and asked, "Boss, were the 2 girls interested in me? They kept staring at me. Was it that there was some good news?" Lear smiled. After wiping his mouth and sipping on the tea, he said, "Wang Zheng is not dead." Luo Fei's eyes widened. It can't be that he did not die after all that. Should we take more actions? Luo Fei made a kill hand signal. Lear looked at Fatty Luo coldly and let out a laugh. "Do you think that the Milky Way Alliance is a factory opened by my family?" Luo Fei giggled and touched his nose. "There is nothing boss can't do in my heart." The only question was the price. Lear put the teacup in his hand down and said calmly, "Stop the bootlicking. Some things aren't that easy. The reason why it was so successful the previous time was because we were making use of the Aslanian royal family's stance. Time has passed since then and the situation has changed. If we were to take other actions, the implications would be too great and it wouldn't be worth the cost." "That is brilliant, boss. However, you don't seem disappointed," said Luo Fei as he sneakily ate a slice of Lear's fish cutlet. "Women are trouble. The fact that he could escape this time means that he has some capabilities. However, I would like to see how he can get out of that place, the Titan Star. Hee, I heard that the place has great scenery and would be a good place for retirement." Luo Fei nodded. After all, that would be the resting ground of Captain Wang Zheng, and he felt the need to remember the name of the place. Therefore, he had gone to find out more about the Titan Star. The Milky Way Alliance's inspection team had a long-term peacekeeping mission in that place. If the mission was not completed, they would not leave the place. However, with the current situation at the Titan Star, the peacekeeping mission would never be completed. Among the people that were sent there, Wang Zheng was the only one from the Solar System Federation. As long as the mission was not completed, it would be difficult for him to be reassigned back to the solar system. Even if there were people backing Wang Zheng, as long as they were within the solar system, they would most likely be destroyed with Lear's influence in the solar system. Wang Zheng might be really spending most of his life on the Titan star unless he gave up a military life voluntarily. However, if Wang Zheng were to truly do that, he would truly lose his threat and influence on Lear, and he would not be worthy of being Lear's opponent anymore. Wang Zheng was in dire straits on the Titan star, or he could be considered to be obsessed. He had completed the cleaning and maintenance of the 15 mecha. However, Wang Zheng had no intention of returning to rest. He cooked another 2 packets of instant noodles and took out the last serving of ham from the fridge. In just a while, he had finished consuming the food. He started the engine of the Scout-type mech that hadn't been used for a long time and placed it on the cranes once again. At the same time, Meng Tian was processing a large amount of files in the staff officer's office in the faraway Earth military region of the Solar System Federation. She had a cold disposition when she was wearing the Federation military uniform. She looked attractive but unapproachable. Meng Tian, you should take a break. At the same time, could you pass this document to General Meng for approval? The staff officer was friendly with Meng Tian. If it wasn't for Meng Tian insisting that she should also receive the same kind of treatment as a recruit, he wouldn't have given her so much work too. Everyone in the staff officer's office knew about Meng Tian's identity. She was the daughter of General Meng and had a rare ice element ability X. She even had achievements during the IG. She was only here to clock some experience and had a bright future. She might even become their superiors in a few years. Yes, sir. Meng Tian stood up and received all the documents before leaving the staff officer's office. She would always look forward and would only reveal a faint smile and nod her head when she greeted a colleague. When she was at the door of Meng Ao's office, she knocked softly on the door and said, "Meng Tian from the staff officer's office seeking permission to enter." "Come in," said Meng Ao. Meng Tian pushed open the door and said, "General, these are the documents from the staff officer's office." "Hee, put it down." Not too shabby. You are starting to look more and more like a soldier. Have you gotten used to the culture at the staff officer's office?" "Yes, General." Meng Ao touched his nose and thought to himself. He was getting more satisfied in various aspects about this daughter of his. He had completely let go of the regrets he felt when he couldn't get a son. However, it had been a long time since he heard Meng Tian address him as father. This was a serious matter as Meng Tian was addressing him as General, even at home. He had to come up with something. Ring ring. At this moment, Meng Ao's skylink started to vibrate. Meng Ao frowned slightly and took a look at the message from the skylink. He was stunned for a moment and let out a huge laugh suddenly. Haha, there was another way out. That guy was really lucky. That's great, that's great. It's really great. Meng Tian was taken aback. She had rarely seen Meng Ao so happy, even though she was his daughter. The last time it happened could be traced back to the historic breakthrough during the last IG. "General, what has made you so happy?" Although she felt that she shouldn't ask, she still asked it in the end. She wasn't able to hold back her curiosity. Meng Ao looked at Meng Tian with hidden intentions. Initially, he had intended to never bring up topics regarding Wang Zheng to her. However, he could talk about it this time. "Weren't you always interested in knowing where Wang Zheng was?" Meng Tian raised her head and her eyes clearly flickered. After some time, she finally nodded her head gently. She was feeling a little uncomfortable and felt that Wang Zheng's current condition must be really bad. However, her reasoning told her that it wouldn't be possible. Wang Zheng was a genius, and with his achievements, how could he be not doing well? The reason as to why there was no news about him was probably because he was in some special department. Zhang Runan was in a similar situation. She had disappeared for half a month previously. When she reappeared in the military area of Earth the last time, she was already a reserve second lieutenant. Even the most unreliable Zhang Shan had entered the Federation's Mecha Special Forces as an intern. Therefore, more could be expected of Wang Zheng, who had brilliant performances during the last IG. What? Even with her cold personality, Meng Tian's eyes widened. The few of them from Ares College had been guessing where Wang Zheng had gone to, with several of the special departments being the most likely. But the Titan star. Meng Tian knew about this backward planet from the military summary previously. What attracted her attention at that time was that this planet had restrictions on energy-type weapons. The Mayans would definitely have no interest in this planet. Another thing was the super-gravity Titan mineral ore that represented huge economic benefits. At that time, her assessment of the situation of the Titan star was that this planet would fall into endless war and had an orange classification for the level of danger. "That isn't fair," said Meng Tian with some anger. She had reason to be angry. This wasn't simply because Wang Zheng was her schoolmate and her friend. If the Solar System Federation wished to rise, how could they still allow such political actions? Wang Zheng was a talent, and they should allow him to shine. Relative to the positions of the other IG members, what was the Titan star? Meng Ao looked at Meng Tian quietly till her gaze calmed down before continuing. The spaceship carrying Wang Zheng to the Titan star came across a situation. The signal of the spaceship was determined as that of a pirate's and was shot down. However, no one expected that kid to survive and have the courage to report for duty at the Milky Way Alliance. He had a tough experience and was really brave. Haha, great, really great. Meng Tian was a little frightened when she heard the news. Who did it? However, Meng Ao stood up and patted his daughter's shoulder. All right, now that you know about this matter, do not speak to the others about it. That kid is blessed, considering he survived a huge ordeal. The Federation. They have not given up on the habits of humans. You should go now. There are still many things for you to do in the future. Meng Tian bit her lip and nodded her head heavily. As she turned around and leave, she knew that her dad had told this to her on purpose. It was to let her know that she shouldn't be so gullible. Looking at the back of Meng Tian, Meng Ao let out a sigh. Some things were beyond his control. No matter how great his influence was limited to the military. After all, he also had enemies. If he were to do something, there would be obstructions. With regards to the matter of Wang Zheng, it wasn't that he wasn't doing anything. However, his opponent's influence was too great, he couldn't help but accept it when it came down crushing. The good thing was that Wang Zheng did not let him down, he was able to survive through it and had the courage to follow the order to report. Currently, the influence of these people had weakened. These people would also not have the ability to take actions against Wang Zheng anymore. As for him, he could start to make some preparations. He wasn't the kind that would not retaliate when driven into a corner. Titan Star, Canyon City, in the Red Fox Bar. One could tell from the name that this was the territory of the third section. The truth was that it was opened by someone from the third section. However, this person had already retired and had chosen to live on the Titan Star. Smoke was lingering within the bar. On the wall, a giant, electronic screen was streaming a baseball match. Jing Long and the rest were watching the match while smoking and drinking beer. This was where they could relax themselves, watch a match, and be drunk. In this place, they weren't soldiers, but themselves. Only God knew how long it would take till the end of the mission. Based on the current situation, there was no hope that it would end soon. Those who were here to clock their experience had left one after another after they had gathered enough experience, leaving those without any connections behind. Keep your hands to yourselves. Do you think it was easy for me to hire beer girls? A bald hunk that was limping on a metal leg was shouting at the people who were teasing the beer girls. Jing Long burst into laughter. He turned around and retorted, "Curse you, you baldy. The ladies haven't even said anything. If you were jealous, you could just call some professionals down." The beer girls were smiling and were trying hard to sell the beer they were representing. The profits from the sale of beer would be split in the ratio of 3 to 4 between them, the bar owner, and the beer distributors. In Canyon City, there wasn't a group who the beer girls could earn more from. Truthfully speaking, if given the opportunity, they would want to be in a relationship with the soldiers. Supporting the military would garner the best benefits in this place. Amongst the laughter, no one knew if the gazes of the soldiers were on the match on the screen or had shifted to the boobs of the girls. Nonetheless, it was truly an exciting view. The bald hunk was Chen Cheng, the scout of the third section previously. Due to an accident in one of the missions, he broke one of his legs. He did not have parents and had only a bunch of brothers from the third section. He had chosen not to return to his country as a hero. Technically speaking, if he returned, he would just be a cripple that no one knew about. Therefore, he had joined the immigration plan of the Titan Star and opened the Red Fox Bar. He grabbed the muscular guy, opened several cans of beer, and asked, I heard that the squadron leader wanted to leave, but no one from the Milky Way Alliance was willing to take up the position. Will the Red Fox have the chance? The bald hunk made an up hand signal. Curse you. Where did you hear such confidential matters from? Confidential your head. Anyone in Canyon City with some connections knows about it. It seems that the Red Fox has been called for meetings several times recently. However, the Silver Fox was also called. I'm afraid that there will be competition. I heard from Lao Joe that you have a new student soldier in the section. Are there any problems? The Silver Fox's newly replenished underlings are all famous, ruthless characters. There's nothing to be afraid of. We could let the student soldier be in charge of the back end, or be the bait. Why are we talking about this? There will always be a path. With our Red Fox section, the Silver Fox can forget about it, hee. The bottom line is that we will have benefits as long as it isn't the Silver Fox who gets promoted. You are right. Damn, however, we should still be careful of the Silver Fox. That *hole is different from our captain. He is fond of using underhanded methods and is not someone to be trifled with. Damn! Exclaimed the muscular guy. With the Red Fox at the front, who would be scared? He shouted. Everyone finished their drinks. If they were drunk, they would just sleep in the bar. Chen Chang had no other strengths other than his secret recipe for a hangover cure that could guarantee one to not have a headache when they woke up the next day. There were a few who were dead drunk. Those who visited Bald Head Chang's bar were single individuals without a family. In the morning, some of the members of the third section arrived at the bar. They happily kicked awake those that were soundly asleep. Bald Head Chang had already prepared his sobering soup. After drinking a big bowl of it, they were invigorated immediately. At this time, the car heading towards the base was already waiting at the door. The group of people boarded the car and were humming a song and chatting about things that had happened over the weekend. Those that arrived at the bar in the morning were those that had a family in Canyon City. Some of them had come to this city with their wives, while others had found girlfriends among the immigrants. The topic that was most discussed would clearly be women. As they chatted, one consensus was that no woman had boobs bigger than the Red Fox's. It was only at this moment that they dared to make a joke about the Red Fox. No one dared to speak a word in front of her unless they were looking to be tortured. Soon, the group of people was back in the camp. After passing through the verification at the gate, they headed to the changing room and changed into their military uniforms. It was almost time to report in. Oh yeah, muscular man, where is the new guy? The Red Fox left you in charge of him. Damn, I have long forgotten about him. You guys can go to the gathering point first. I will go look for him. The muscular guy knocked his head and headed towards the lounge of the third section to look for Wang Zheng. However, he did not see Wang Zheng. Also, looking at the bed, it didn't seem like anyone had used it. Jing Long was stunned. Where could a student soldier be in this highly secure Milky Way Alliance base? Jing Long blinked his eyes and looked at the time. It was only 30 minutes before the time for assembly. He scratched his head and could only remember that Wang Zheng was last seen in the mecha garage. He had left him there on his own to familiarize himself. Could that brat be still inside there? Jing Long jogged and arrived at the garage. The door was indeed still open. No one would have come to this place at this time. Other than that kid, there shouldn't be another person. Jing Long was a little annoyed. What was this about? The mecha garage was a restricted area in the military camp. How could one stay around for such a long time when there wasn't any mission? When he said, familiarize, he wasn't telling him to stay inside. He rushed into the garage. Jing Long's muscles were bursting out and he wanted to give the new student soldier a lesson he would never forget. If anything were to happen to the garage, he would be fully responsible for it. As he approached the area with the mecha, a person was lying flat on the ground with his arms and legs fully spread. The face full of machine oil and stains was still wearing a smile. He seemed to be having a nice dream. How could one have a nice dream in such a place? The muscular guy was pissed. Initially, he had only intended to scream. It seemed that he had to resort to something more harsh this time. However, after a few steps, the furious muscular man was stunned. The lights of the garage had been switched off manually, leaving two lights shining on the 15 mecha. These were the security lights and were equipped with CCTV. Under the lighting, Those mecha, which looked dirty before, seemed just like new mecha that had just exited the factory. The jaws of the muscular man dropped. Could it be that this brat had been here all along? Being someone who had progressed from being a private, the muscular guy clearly knew that cleaning a mech was a huge project. That was the reason why those brats were slacking off and were just simply cleaning the exterior. As for the stains hidden within the dented areas, they would just wipe them casually. If one was serious, a mech would take an experienced person over 3 hours to clean. However, the mecha he saw were shining. Did he apply the protective film too? Pa! The muscular guy still kicked Wang Jung on his thigh. However, the strength he used was at least 100x smaller than he originally intended. Lazy bum, get up. The sun is already shining on your buttocks. Your holidays are over. Wang Jung opened his eyes and blinked a few times. Yeah? He was too tired. He did not even know how he had fallen asleep. Nevertheless, looking at the 15 mecha looking clean and neat and arranged nicely together, he felt really good about it. This was a simple feeling. It was just like when he solved a math question that he was stuck on for 3 days when he was still a kid and received a mech model from the old merchant as a prize. He still could remember it till today that it was a light cavalry type D mech model holding a weapon for heavy sniping. It wasn't scientific at all and was against all the common knowledge. Its making was also rough, but the type of happiness he felt was pure without any impurities. Brat, seems that you are fond of doing chores and not resting during your leave. Stop dreaming and get up. The holidays are over. Ah, Wang Jung crawled up and rubbed his neck. Leave? There was leave? Didn't you read about the rules and regulations given to you about the base? Unless we are on alert of grade 3 and above, the weekends are rest days. If there were no rest days, we would also be informed. Hurry up and wash your face. It would be best if you took a shower. There is training today. You will be finished if Boss Red Fox gets angry. Don't just stare at the 36Ds. If the 36Ds were to go off, she would also be very scary. Jing Long wanted to kick Wang Jung's butt, and he lifted his leg to do so. However, Wang Jung moved 2 steps aside and dodged it. He quickly ran towards the outside. After taking a few steps, he turned around and asked, "Where is the bathhouse?" "Forget it. I will bring you there." Jing Long thought about it and was not at ease. He felt that this brat was a little stupid and silly and that he would have to pay more attention to him. On the training ground, Wang Jung and Jing Long were able to reach the assembly point at the very last minute. A flag with a blazing fox was inserted on the ground. Under the scrutiny of the red fox, the 10 members stood upright in a single line. Reporting for duty, Wang Jung and Jing Long stepped forward and reported attendance together. The red fox looked at the time and nodded. Return to the team. Her voice was a little cold. Yes? Wang Jung naturally moved to the end of the section, while Jing Long stood below the flag. During training, the responsibility of the deputy leader was to hold the flag. The flag was the soul of the army. As long as the flag was around, the team remained. The section that lost their flag would be disbanded and would have their members removed. This was a relaxing 2 hours, following which was technique training, shooting, climbing. Wang Jung's performance was average. He wasn't outstanding but was not at the bottom either. This had impressed some of his section mates. The student soldiers aren't too bad, they can follow the tempo of the training. It seems that you are from a good military school. Let's get to know each other. I'm Chong Danching. You can just call me Dayton. A hunk over 2 meters tall laughed. Mr. Chong, are you trying to pretend to be Dayton in front of the new guy even though you are timid? Aren't you shameless, student soldier? You can call me Lao Shang. Don't be misled by my appearance. Similar to you, I'm a scout. You can follow me from now on. If there is anything you do not know, you can ask me directly. Wang Jung nodded his head and said, Thank you, Lao Shang. I will be in your care in the future. You're welcome. Oh, right, are you intending to keep staying in the bunks at the base? Shang Dao was approximately 30 years old. He had a huge stature of over 2 meters and his large beard covered almost half of his face. His arms were almost as thick as his thighs. When throwing grenades, others would have to exert a lot to be able to throw them 100 meters. However, he could easily throw over 150 meters, and this was on the Titan Star, where the force of gravity was slightly stronger. Wang Zheng was stunned. Could we stay in other places? You can do so if you send in an application. I live outside and arrive every morning for training. After 8 hours of duty, I can go home and do what I want. That is really convenient. Hee. There is a need for some benefits for having to be stationed on the Titan star for a long period of time. Moreover, our mission is to monitor and not stand guard. Our responsibilities are similar to that of a policeman. One has to have a life. However, you are still young and might not understand. Lao Shang made a wink that every old man could understand. What is so hard to understand? You are just talking about women. Dayton scorned at Lao Shang. I am also supporting someone to wash my clothes, cook my meals, and warm my bed. Pooey. You are supporting her? She's earning more than you. Stop your nonsense and take your training seriously. When it came to the topic of women, Dayton and Lao Shang were clearly louder. They were being stared at by Jing Long. Shang Danqing lowered his voice and told Wang Zheng, if you're interested, I could introduce you to. Even a household woman would be possible. Wang Zheng smiled and nodded. It wouldn't be nice if I applied to stay out when I have just arrived. I think that it would be better for me to stay in the base for now. We shall see again if there will be a need in the future. You are right, it would be better for you to stay low when you just arrive. The last event was a 10 kilometers run. Other than carrying weapons, one had to also carry a backpack of the standard combat load. When they arrived at the starting point, it was no longer within the base, but the countryside of Canyon City. Although it was still within the city walls, it was a huge, restricted area. Thick vegetation was covering this area, highlighting the unparalleled control of nature. They did not start immediately but allowed everyone 5 minutes to make their preparations. Everyone was doing their warm-ups leisurely. Lao Shang pulled the shortest guy at the back aside and said, Wang Zheng, let me introduce you to Barry. He is 22 years old and came to Titan Star right after he graduated. He is a little nerdy. Lao Shang patted the chest of Barry as he introduced him to Wang Zheng. Both of you were students of military school and should have quite a number of common topics. Barry smiled shyly at Wang Zheng. He opened his mouth and seemingly wanted to greet Wang Zheng. However, he did not make any sound and turned around to talk to Lao Shang. The tools you gave me previously were really useful. Thank you. It seemed Barry's personality was completely different from Lao Shang, who was completely natural with everyone. He seemed to be the kind who wasn't good at making friends. Wang Zheng smiled gently and took the initiative to extend his hand. I'm Wang Zheng from Ares College on Earth. I'm Barry, Astina Federation, 2nd Military College. Seeing that Wang Zheng had extended his hand, Barry was a little flustered. He wanted to shake hands but dropped his rifle on the floor instead. Wang Zheng smiled and picked up Barry's gun. He passed it back to Barry and asked, what are the tools you were talking about? Barry shook Wang Zheng's hand and finally replied, it was the nano calibrator. There is a whole set of 7 models and it could be used on. It's over, it has started again. Otaku, please speak in human language. Shang Dayton touched his forehead. Barry wasn't able to make any other friends other than Lao Shang and Chang Dayton. This wasn't because the others were discriminating or disliked him, but because Barry was completely obsessed with mecha. It was an obsession that was beyond cure. Once he had started talking about things related to mecha, he would be so fluent in it. With regards to other matters, he would often be so shy that he could not say it fluently and would stammer. After he heard Chang Dayton's words, Barry stopped immediately. Oh. Wang Zheng smiled. I am also interested in mecha. Could it be that you were doing mech design since you were using the nano calibrator? When Barry heard this, his eyes lit up again. You understood what I was saying? Yes, you are right, and I have started on mech design. I would like to create a mech that would be suitable for the Titan star. This could change the history of the Titan star. At this moment, rumbling. Another section had also rushed towards the starting line. Lao Shang frowned. Silver Fox section, screw them. Wang Zheng took a look at this section. There were 12 of them. Their style was different from the passionate Red Fox section and they were giving off a gloomy feeling. Similarly, the people of the Silver Fox section were starting coldly at them. Yo, isn't this the Red Fox? Hee, you have become more beautiful again. From the Silver Fox section, a guy with a sharp chin and a horse-like face stood out. He smiled lewdly at the Red Fox and was trying to flirt once he started speaking. The Red Fox squinted her eyes and retorted, "If you do not wish to become a mute, you need to watch what you say." Hee hee. If you do not give it a try, how would you know if my mouth was dirty? Horse-faced Silver Fox was a little overboard. He even stuck out his tongue and did a lewd gesture. "If you want a fight, you could just ask for it. What kind of a man are you if all you can do is nag?" shouted Jing Long as he stood out. "Screw your mom, I am talking to your captain. How could you interrupt us?" "I would screw your sister's mouth." Boom. The two sections were at one another's throat instantly and were on the brink of a fight. Lao Shang was the first to throw himself to the front. Chang Daden and Barry had pulled Wang Zheng to the back and explained softly, "This is the second section, and their captain is called the Silver Fox. He was in the same batch as Captain Red Fox when they were still in the Milky Way Alliance forces. D*MN. He comes harass the captain whenever he has nothing better to do. Nonetheless, they are our nemesis. No matter what the matter is, as long as there's a competition, the second section will be competing with us in the end. Do no worry, with the captain around, it will not turn into a fight. However, you have to be careful. There will definitely be a competition later. Otaku Barry, are you okay today?" Barry shook his head and said softly, "Yes, no problem." Clearly, this isn't the first time both parties has had similar conflicts. Enough. The last segment will be the 10 kilometers run. Whoever loses will lose their breakfast to the other team. The Red Fox's face had darkened as she let out a huge roar. "Tisk, only breakfast? Hee hee, Red Fox, if the wager was you, I would definitely win. Truthfully speaking, aren't you interested in the position of squadron leader? If you were with me, I would guarantee that I would support you. How does that sound? You could be on top during the day while I would be on top at night and feeling good together." Horse-faced Silver Fox licked his lips as he stared lewdly at the Red Fox. "With such a little sausage, you really can't arouse me." The Red Fox casually looked to the private parts of Silver Fox. This insult was peerless. The Silver Fox laughed coldly suddenly. "There will be a day where you will lie on my body obediently. Brothers, let's start." Before he completed the sentence, the entire Silver Fox section ran out in a uniform manner. The Red Fox section wasn't standing still. Other than Wang Zheng, everyone had started running. They were cursing as they ran. No one was slowing down just because it was a 10 kilometers race. They were running as fast as they could. The Red Fox and the Silver Fox were both quick like lightning and disappeared within the forest in an instant. "Those at the back, follow closely. Take note of your tempo." The vice captain was instructing the other members and was at the back of the main section. When he turned around, he could see that Wang Zheng had caught up. His face had not changed. If he wasn't wrong, this student soldier did not have any sleep for 2 nights. "Student soldier, you are a little slow. Keep the tempo and follow Otaku Barry. He is the skinny guy, do you know him?" Wang Zheng nodded his head and replied, "Yes." Jing Long nodded his head gently and took a look at Lao Shang and Daden, who had caught up from the back. The two of them were the friendliest in the section and were the most passionate about making new friends. He shouted, "Daden and Lao Shang, I will leave the student soldier with you. Follow behind him. The race will be about the total time of everybody. As long as no one drops out at the initial stage, it will be okay. We will run faster at the front. It will be fine for you all to be slightly slower. All right, after all, I'm not the kind who can run fast. It'd be better if it was endurance." Daden smiled. He was often the last one in these types of races. Lao Shang scratched his ears. He wanted to run at the front but had slowed down as he was looking at Wang Zheng and Barry. Wang Zheng was okay with anything. It was the same to him whether it was fast or slow, as long as he did not drop out. Only his brains were a little tired after 2 days without sleep. Moreover, he had expended much brainpower in making adjustments for the mecha. Physically, he was completely fine. However, he was glad that he was not assigned to the Silver Fox section, as he might be disgusted to death. Once he arrived, the two sections were at the crucial stage of their competition. Although it wasn't as intense as a brawl, one could also hardly control their speed when they knocked one another around as they competed in speed. The two teams were able to compete to such extent because their strengths were similar and no one held the advantage over the other. One could disregard the captains as no matter who won, they would likely only differ by a few seconds. It was more likely that the difference between them would be less than a second. Which team would win would depend on the performance of the other members. After a minute, both of the teams had started to accelerate. Those who were stronger had started to break apart from the main section and were running at the front, forming the leading contingent. Jing Long rushed to the front while carrying the flag. The vice captain of the Silver Fox section was only half a step away from him. The truth was that they were neck to neck with each other. However, Jing Long was also known as the muscular guy and had the advantage in terms of muscle mass. When he desired, there wasn't anyone who would dare to fight him for the leading position. Hee, running so fast, muscle man, seems that you are short of breath today, the vice captain of the Silver Fox section, Yang Dian, remarked coldly. Instinctively, he felt that the muscular man wasn't right today. Although he was at the front as usual, his speed and tempo were faster. With a turn of the eyes, Yang Dian smiled even more brightly. I remember now. Is it because the new recruit isn't good enough? I heard that he was a living gem from the solar system. It seems that the Red Fox section is filled with talents. I don't need you to worry about that. Jing Long was trying to control his rage and picked up his pace, leaving Yang Dian a few meters behind. However, Yang Dian had relied on 100% of his strength to become the vice captain of the Silver Fox section. He also picked up his pace and tempo and caught up. Tisk. You might not know that we have two new recruits. Although they aren't that fast, they are quite capable. Jing Long pretended that he couldn't hear. The vice captain of the Silver Fox section was similar to the Silver Fox and liked to use underhanded moves. Jing Long would rather listen to a dog bark than to listen to him. Suddenly, he contracted his body and attempted to collide against Yang Dian. Yang Dian smiled coldly. He dodged the body of Jing Long and grabbed the momentum to overtake him. Not happy with one another was one matter, but this type of contest should have a bottom line. They could knock against one another but could not start a real fight. Jing Long's footing was disrupted for 2 steps, but Yang Dian wasn't feeling better. Both of their speeds had stagnated and exploded in an instant. Soon, the two of them had broken apart from the leading contingent and were moving ahead in a battle. There were incessant conflicts between the vice captains. The other members were also happily competing. Their mouths had not stopped and they were trying to tease one another in various ways. Both parties were already familiar with it and had a better understanding of the other party than their own wives. It was as though they knew how many moles each party had. Both parties had their own moves and they were evenly matched. No one party was able to hold the lead for too long. Once they were in the lead, they would be knocked into or tripped from the back by the other party. Wang Zheng, Lao Shang, Barry and Chong Daden were running together at the back of the team. At this position, no one was interested in them. The end was approaching. We have good control over the pace. One's physical condition is the most important in a 10 kilometers race. Have you ran a long-distance event in the school sports day? The reasoning is the same. However, the only difference between that and this is that there is a little more weight here because of the battle load. The first 9 kilometers are all about breathing. The last kilometer is a competition of one's willpower. Chong Daden was nagging as he was running. He wasn't really speaking to people. This was just how he ran. It seemed that as long as he was talking, he wouldn't feel tired when running and could maintain a good breathing tempo. On the other hand, Lao Shang seemed to be bottling up his thoughts. His strides were big and it was clear that he wasn't giving his all. At this moment, there wasn't any road that could be run on normally. They were already completely in the wild. The morning dew on the green grass was like raindrops and had moisturized the soil. This patch of soil was extremely sticky when slightly wet. The ground seemed to have some attractive force. They had to exert much force every time they tried to lift their legs. This had greatly restricted their usual pace, tempo. Chong Daden was mumbling to himself. Surprisingly, he could totally disregard the soil. An emotional victory could be useful at times. However, it was clear that Barry could not take it anymore as he started to stumble. Lao Shang took a look at him and frowned slightly. However, he still extended his hands and grabbed Barry's arms. He tried to pull him along as he ran. The nickname of Lao Shang, Old Bear, wasn't because his surname was Shang. It was because he had always boasted that he could kill a bear with a single punch. Student soldier, if you start to feel that it is too hard to continue, you can just hold on to me. I can bring you along easily. If we can maintain our stamina and catch up with the section in the final sprint, we will definitely win. After getting over the sticky soil, there was only a small mountain left to conquer. Lao Shang smiled. He could see from the high ground that there were more people in the Red Fox section that were leading. The first contingent had made it to the bottom of the mountain. Vice Captain Jing Long had already disappeared. From the current status, the Red Fox section had a big advantage. Wang Jung smiled and nodded his head. That's great. Wang Jung was running at a comfortable pace. At this level, this type of training was a little too easy for him. Compared to the IG training camp, this was like an appetizer. At this level, it really couldn't arouse his interest. The road down the slope was much easier. Lao Shang had finally let go of Barry's arms. Chang Daden looked at the front and took a deep breath. From here onwards, it will be at my pace. I will go ahead first. Vroom. Chang Daden accelerated towards the leading first contingent. He was very fast and overtook person after person. He had his own tempo. Wang Jung smiled but had no intention to increase his speed too. He followed Barry and felt rather comfortable. There wasn't a need for him to make himself so tired in every morning training, or he wouldn't be able to work or study in the day. Having reached the bottom of the mountain, there was a thick forest. The second contingent at the back had just entered the forest. Let's catch up to them, ordered Lao Shang as he increased his pace. Barry was panting. At this moment, he had also started to accelerate. The stamina he had been conserving at the start and even resorted to depending on Lao Shang was so that he could pick up his pace for now. They were planning to catch up with the main group. When they just entered the forest, Wang Jung was suddenly on alert as he could see a flash of light from the corner of his eye. Be careful. Just as the words passed by his lips, two figures appeared on a big tree at the edge of the forest and were charging towards them like a heavy tank. Barry held his breath and his movements were dull at the most critical moment. Just as Wang Jung extended his arms and wanted to grab him, Lao Shang let out an angry growl. Thunderous footstep resounded and he rushed towards the two of them. Don't go. Just as the sentence ended, Lao Shang squinted his eyes. Clearly it was the rookies of the Silver Fox section. What the heck, even the recruits were arrogant. The burly man had his eyes set on Barry and Wang Jung. He had a clear goal. As long as he could injure anyone, this battle would be a victory for the Silver Fox section. Lao Shang's footsteps grew heavier. All the muscles in his body had constricted like a granite rock. Competing with me in a head-on collision? Other than the barbaric Tita people, who could be his opponent? Who was the one trying to knock into the people he was protecting? Was he crazy, dreaming? He had to teach the Silver Fox section a lesson to make them understand what respect was? Both parties were rushing ahead confidently. Their speed was really fast, and in the time of a breath, they were facing each other. Just when the two bodies were going to collide, the opponent clearly revealed a sinister smile. Instantly, at the point of contact, Lao Shang could only see emptiness ahead. The Northerner who was heading towards him at full speed had suddenly moved aside. Did he just let go at the very end? What? Was he thinking of making a detour and trying to head for the student soldier? Was the Northerner stupid? If he made the detour, he would lose his speed and would have no momentum to collide into his opponent with. Lao Shang did not know about the strength of the student soldier. Although Barry might look weak from his appearance, the truth was that he was a real mech warrior and had the necessary stamina and strength. After all, he was a soldier that was nurtured by a real military school. He believed that Wang Jung would be similar. Be careful. In that instant, Lao Shang could hear Wang Jung's scream. What was the student soldier screaming about? Just when he had such a thought, something suddenly flashed across his eyes and a small figure rushed out from behind the Northerner. Lao Shang did not have the time to react and soon he felt his body tremble, followed by a sharp pain on his left knee. Oh, damn, it was the people from the Gemini Star. Lao Shang flew up and rolled several times on the floor. Is this all you got? It seems that you were boasting. The Northerner, Sherlock, came out from the side and laughed. He then faced Wang Jung and Barry and made a provocative hand signal. The 1.5-meter tall 8 was maintaining a straight face. I said that I could handle him without any strategy. Haha, brother, don't be like this. This isn't a school. When it is time to use strategy, we should still do so. It would be best for us to conserve our energy. Let's get rid of the other two weaklings. Sherlock smiled and looked toward Wang Zheng and Barry. This diversion tactic had achieved full victory and eliminated the strongest one of them. The remaining two rookies could be finished quickly. Lao Shang gritted his teeth and growled furiously. Just when he tried to get up, he could feel a sharp and intense pain at his ankle. All his strength went away like tides with the sharp and intense pain. The two of you, run now. I will fight with them. Fight? Fight with just your looks? Lao Shang, let me introduce you to the rookie of the Silver Fox section. He is 8 from the Northern Star and a student soldier. However, he was a member of the Northern Star's IG. Haha. How dare you all compete with our captain with just your 36D? Dream on, Sherlock laughed hysterically. 8 also looked towards the two of them. When his gaze met Wang Zheng's, 8 seemed to be electrified. Stop standing there, 8. Let's take one of them each and not let them escape. In the eyes of Sherlock, the rookie student soldier and Barry were just like fishes on the chopping board. Lao Shang gritted his teeth and stood up. He had suffered from this underhanded move by Sherlock. At this moment, 8 from Norton dragged along Sherlock and entered the forest quickly. Sherlock was even flying as he was dragged along. 8 seemed to have seen a ghost and was dragging Sherlock all the way. Sherlock had a bigger stature and ended up with bruises on his face. After running for quite some time, 8 finally stopped and was catching his breath against a tree. I must have seen a ghost. How could he be here? Sherlock called multiple times before 8 stood up. Damn, 8, what were you doing? Why did you run? I was almost dragged to death by you. You can't knock into that person. Damn, what do you mean? Even if it was the Red Fox, we just collide into her. As I have told you before, this isn't school and the rules here are different. Sherlock was extremely unhappy. He had missed such a great opportunity. If it wasn't for this dude being so strong and having some background, he would really want to bash him into the ground. 8 took a look at Sherlock and shook his head. Along the way, he did not say another word and was following behind Sherlock, who was still nagging at him. He believed that it was because the dwarf from the Gemini star was too soft. Wang Zheng was surprised. Although he had not fought with him, he had some impression. He should be one of the reserves of the Northern Star team. It seemed that he had recognized Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng did not know if he should laugh or cry. Was he that scary?